Hello, welcome to episode 53 of Your Ultimate Comeback. I'm here with Raquel. Raquel, how are you?
I'm good.
Beautiful. So we thought today what would be a fun topic is to just break down how Raquel takes care of herself. This was mostly my desire to want because I'm very impressed with how she does everything.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. We were just talking about this. She immediately says, well, I could do so much better. I'm like, everyone that's doing things really well says that. People that aren't doing things really well say, I don't get it. I do everything perfect and it's not working.
Yeah.
That's always the call sign of, okay, they're not really doing much. Same thing with the people when they say, oh, I hit my macros perfect on my protein. I'm like, okay, you're not even close then because
Right.
everyone that's trying is like, holy shit,
So
this
hard.
is so hard.
Yeah.
And it's a win if you get close on a single day, let
Yeah.
alone I'm perfect on my macros.
Yeah.
So that's even more validation for me as to why I want to share this because, you know, like primarily our audience is women, you know, around your age,
Yep.
and it's really hard.
Yep.
And, you know, if you listen to the podcast, we kind of share why it's so hard. All the hormonal changes, the stress in life. I mean, everything is just against the female metabolism. So to get it dialed in the level you have it dialed in, it's pretty awesome to see.
Thank
And
you.
it also supports like everything we talk about, everything we study, everything that we're talking, like sharing.
Right.
It works when it's applied. I mean, I'm super proud to tell people that I train you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so people say all the time, like, well, does this work? I'm like, oh, you know Raquel Perry. Like, you tell me she's been doing this for the last couple of years. Oh, shit, she looks incredible. I'm like, yeah. So what I like to do is just share with the listeners kind of the things you focus on.
Yes.
And we can even dive into, like, we can kind of go over how we train.
Sure.
But, you know, just how you eat, how you sleep, all the things you do and focus on. And you know, this is going to probably feel a little overwhelming to a lot of you. Because seriously, once you pass the age of 40 and every year after that, it gets harder and harder. Eric Weeks, I bring him up all the time for some reason. I love this guy.
Is he our sponsor yet?
He should be. He told me years ago when he turned 40, he's like, well, that's it. The warranty's up.
Yep.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to dial things in deeper the older you get to maintain the level of health that we want to be at.
For sure.
So I just want to share with people what it is you do.
Okay.
So let's start with nutrition. Like, what's
Okay.
a day in your life look like in regards to your food intake?
Okay. Firstly, I want to say one thing that you know, I think having been in this industry as long as I have, 40 years right now in some way, shape, or form, I think that I, all along the way, have thought that I was doing things properly.
Yeah.
So the fads and what we knew to be true has changed.
Yeah.
So I will say that I was doing some things, Lisa and I talked about that last week when she was on about, the Cambridge diet and the T-zone diet and all these things. I think all along we've thought we were doing things properly. And what's been frustrating for me is to see, oh, wait, now we're circling back and that's not how we're doing it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a funky sort of ebb and flow of things. And, so my eating looks different. It does.
Yeah.
And than it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago even.
And I do want to point something out.
Yeah.
All those things you were doing that were supposedly right were all very supported by science.
Exactly. That's my point.
I always kind of bring that up with people.
Sure.
Like, science is not the end all be all. It's always kind of changing.
Right.
So, but it's also, in my opinion, it's a sign of growth.
Yeah.
Like,
to be open to it.
I look back 3 years ago at how I was writing programs for people, I was having people doing it, and it's dramatically changed.
Sure.
But back then I thought I was giving the best advice that I knew at the time. And so it's also a sign of growth.
Yeah. So to answer your question, things changed a lot after I met you and Shelby. Shelby, I think I mentioned she was on here. Of Moonray Wellness was on here, 2 episodes ago, I believe. And she's the person that I attribute with getting me to eat red meat again after 30 years of not eating red meat. And that had been so vilified in my mind that is not what you want to be eating. Oh my gosh, it's the death of you and you need to be close to vegan and all that stuff. So my intake of protein was mostly fish, eggs, maybe some dairy. And I just found that it's way too hard to even come close to what the protein intake should be.
Yeah.
It's way too hard. And, it's not good to be going, oh, I'm going to supplement with a beef stick.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it's a grass-fed beef stick, but it's still processed. And, I'm going to take some with me on the road when we leave next week. But it's not best case scenario.
Right.
So it made me realize that maybe I should, consider eating meat again. And I started with, Fermentation Farm, which I've talked, sung their praises a lot, that I love that place so much because I know what I'm getting. It's grass-fed meat. It's prepared in ghee or tallow or, no seed oils. It's so I don't ever have to think when I go there to eat, which is what I love. So to start out a morning, and another thing I should say is that there was a part of me that felt that I needed to still do that intermittent fasting thing, that it was better for me to go teach my first class or my class of the day fasted. I had that kind of drilled into my head like a lot of us did. Oh, it's going to be so much better. And then when I'm presented with Brad telling me, oh yeah, you just want a gram for every pound of ideal body weight, it's like, holy shit, how am I going to even do that? I think I sent you a meme that said, I'm quitting my job because I have to focus on my protein intake. And that's so real, actually.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to eat a little something before I teach because I don't like to have a full belly when I'm teaching class.
Right.
So I've made it so that generally I get up. I still do my hot, warm lemon water, whatever, because I like that. And then I have my, generally it's 4 eggs over easy that I cook in ghee. And that's usually all that I start out with.
Nice.
Which is kind of boring. Sometimes if I have time, I'll throw in, some of the bacon from Firm Farm. I'll make bacon, but not always.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the start. And then lunch might be the grass-fed chili from Firm Farm with a couple eggs on top, or maybe I'll make grass-fed ground beef patty, and I get kraut that also from Firm Farm. You would think that we're sponsored by them. We are not. And maybe a salad that's, a little side salad that's arugula with just a little olive oil and balsamic vinegar. If I'm wanting a treat, which I do sometimes want a treat, and I know whatever, and this probably doesn't sound like a treat to most people, but I'll have a couple of dates with a little bit of this sprouted nut butter in it. That's my treat.
Your treat.
It's delicious. It is. It is. It's good. And okay, so that's lunch. All the while I'm drinking plenty of water and all that stuff. And dinner will be generally a ribeye with a cup or two, depending, of white rice and some asparagus. And that's all cooked in ghee. That's generally it.
Nice.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm coming close. Hopefully.
I think your protein intake is getting pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it is.
Yeah, because like the 4 eggs is, I think that's like
24
grams.
Yeah.
24 grams of protein. The Fermentation Farm, their chili has the bison meat in it, right?
No, it's ground beef.
Oh, ground beef.
Yeah.
Okay, but so you got plenty of protein there. You got a couple eggs on top of that.
Yeah.
That's probably 40 grams of protein. You probably get another 40 grams of protein of ribeye.
Yeah.
So you're over 100 grams of protein
Hopefully.
right there.
That's what I'm trying for.
Yeah,
shooting
so that's
for.
So the science is really like, because this was used to frustrate me a little bit. They say 1 gram per pound of body weight.
Right.
And everyone's saying that. I'm like, oh, it must be the answer, but I couldn't find the research to support it. All I could find was a research that shows 0.6 grams to 0.8 grams per pound of lean muscle mass.
Right.
And
that's basically the same thing, though.
Well, so it's still a lot.
Yes.
It's hard to figure out because you have to have a reliable source to tell you how much lean muscle mass you have, which is the only thing that'll do that is the DEXA scan. And most people have never done that.
Sure.
Everything else is too inaccurate. And then to do all the math with that is a lot.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast when I was driving to the Grand Canyon this week, sorry. And this guy came out and from Mind Pump. I really like that podcast. He's like, look, we tell everyone to have a gram per pound of ideal body weight, but the science is very clear. It's 0.6 to 0.8. It's hard to figure out. So if we tell people to go for a gram per ideal body weight and they're fighting to get that, they're most likely going to fall in that 0.6 to 0.8 grams per pound of lean. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
So people
overestimate.
Overestimate because it's hard.
Yeah.
And so people, if you're out there and you're going for that 1 gram, but you're not hitting it every day, as long as you're getting close, we win. That's what we're going for. We put it to that point so that people will get close. Yeah. So I felt a lot better about it. I'm like, why can't I find this research to support what everyone's saying? But it made a lot of sense once they put it that way. I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. Because we'd rather have people err on a little too much versus not enough. Yeah. So by the sounds of it, you're hitting that realm perfectly.
I'm trying. There's certain days that look better than others. But, for example, today I had an appointment before this, and I thought, gosh, do I have enough time to go home and eat? Maybe not. I ran to Fern Farm, and I had, their ramen, which is one of my favorites because I get beef broth, and then I get rice noodles in it, which I know it's not evening, but I was like, screw it, this is good. And then they throw it. I have it thrown, chicken thigh thrown in with it, and then they put one soft egg in it, and I asked for another.
Nice.
So it's delicious and it's filling, and it's been windy today, so it's kind of comfort food.
It's been super windy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is totally off topic.
Okay.
But today I was at the gym training, and I started hearing this really weird sound. It sounds like an old car trying to start and then backfiring.
Okay.
I heard it a couple times, and I was training RG. I said, RG, what the hell is that sound? He goes, I don't know. We walk outside, and all of a sudden you hear it again, and then this big explosion happens from the power lines.
Come on.
And one of the power lines snapped and came flying down to the ground and was live.
Yikes.
It was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
You watched it?
I watched it happen.
Wow.
It was like boom, and sparks everywhere, and it literally
no.
disengaged and fell to the ground. I mean, it would have killed someone if it would have hit somebody. And it's right there in that little intersection right outside the weight room. Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy.
So people are out of power right now.
It didn't affect our side, but it was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So the cops came, utility company came, they fixed it all, but
Yikes.
Gotta love the wind.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I could think that could cause that. But it was crazy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
So totally off topic.
Yes, it was. Okay. That's all right, though. I like it.
You brought up the wind. And it just made me think of it. It was not very comforting.
One thing, though, that I want to say about eating is that once you start to kind of get dialed in on what works, it becomes pretty boring.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't mind boring. I really don't. But it's not always great for when you're, like, we're traveling next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to be gone. And I try not to get all up in my head. And it's not really a thing of, oh, God, I can't eat that. It's just, I want to make sure I'm still eating quality. That is really more of what it is for me. I want to have quality food.
Quality is super hard to find.
I know. But I think, okay, well, at least we're going to be in Kauai and can have some good fish, hopefully.
Yeah.
And some delicious fruit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. But
yeah, the other thing I always like to share with people is when you're gunning for the protein first and you eat the protein first and then have whatever else you want on the meal, it's way less stressful. You'll eat less of the bad food, but you'll notice she doesn't struggle with cravings. Raquel doesn't struggle with cravings. Her sweet treat is a date with nut butter. When you hit enough protein, you naturally elevate that GLP-1 that everyone's talking about, like the Ozempic stuff. You're naturally elevating it, and it will control your appetite and your cravings.
yeah.
So that's the biggest thing I see people struggle with is, myself included, when I don't have enough protein, is my cravings run wild.
Yeah.
And if you're hitting the protein target first, it's way less of a struggle.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
it's a little boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you control the cravings
Sure.
and the hunger naturally without, that's the natural way to do it if you want to focus more on the natural way to do it
Right.
versus the injections. So it's beautiful. So you kind of become just okay with boring.
And to the sweet treat point, Shelby had pointed something out to me when I said, gosh, in the end of the day, sometimes I want a couple squares of dark chocolate or whatever, which I haven't factored back in since I did the reset, just because I haven't really cared.
Yeah.
The dates with the little bit of the sprouted nut butter is scratching the itch for me. But she said, think about why you want that. Is it because it's kind of what you do at the end of the night? And I thought that's very true. Yeah. I think we all, maybe it's your glass of wine, maybe it's your, I have a sweet treat after dinner. That's just what we do.
Yeah.
So how much of it is just, that's because what we do.
Yeah.
As opposed to really a need.
Well, and so many of those things have very addictive qualities to them.
Yeah.
Sugar, alcohol, all those things. So you get in that groove of doing it, it becomes an addictive response.
Right.
I have to have that to calm down.
Of course.
Whether it's sugar, alcohol, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Becomes very much a part of a ritualistic addiction.
And that's
basically.
Exactly what she was saying. Is it a
like
ritual?
that.
Is it, so just to kind of be mindful about that. And, I've not been a stranger to, I've always been told that I'm no fun and the way I eat, no matter what stage I've been in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, because I'll cut out something very easily and just say, I'm not having that.
Yeah.
And then people flip out. Well, why? Wait, you can't, it's her birthday. You have to have some of the cake.
Yeah.
Really? Why do I have to have some of the cake? And I don't feel like I'm not living. That's the thing. If I felt as though I was missing out on something, or, and if it's something I really want, I'm going to have it. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But I think you're absolutely right. When you kind of pull back and you're not as into that, when you're not allowing that addictive quality of those foods creep in, it is a lot easier to stay away from it.
Yeah. You can't, it's really hard to dabble in.
Yeah. Well, Lisa was talking about that last week.
Yeah.
She said, I just say no to certain things.
Yeah.
And then again, you're vilified because, oh God, it's like not drinking amongst people.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. Oh, you're not having sugar? What's wrong?
Yeah.
Or you don't know how many times I've been out to eat with people and they wait to see what I order and they'll say, I'm going to have what she's having.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's funny.
When I used to travel and speak, the host would always take me out the first night for dinner. And same thing. They'd always have me order first.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny. And, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It's like, okay, if you think that's going to be perfect for you, great. And maybe it is. Maybe it's going to open up some eyes.
Yeah.
But I think the whole dietary thing, what has really worked for me is I've never been a calorie counter. That's never been my jam. I have been known to, if there's something to have tried, I've probably tried it. What was the silly thing that went around your arm? Biggest Loser started it.
I don't remember.
No, it was something that went around your arm. It tracked everything you did, and you would also have to input what you ate. So I played with that for a minute. And, I am not someone that wants to have to tally my carbohydrate total. It's just, to me, that's not fun, and it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So I think you're absolutely right that if you focus on the protein, all that other stuff will come easily.
It honestly is the best tool.
Yeah.
Because it deals with the cravings, it deals with the appetite.
Yeah.
It's just like the thing with the Ozempic. You take that Ozempic, it elevates GLP-1. You don't want to eat. Now, the problem there is that you're not taking in the protein.
See, that's what I don't like.
Yeah, and so there's muscle wasting that's going to happen. If you do it naturally, you're supporting the muscle.
Right.
And you're getting the benefit. But again, it's much easier to take a shot than it is to try to hit your 1 gram per pound of body weight.
Right.
And again, I'm not against GLP-1s. I think it has its place.
A place, sure.
It's just there's a natural way to do it. It's just harder.
To that point, one of our listeners made a comment. I think it was after the clip that we put up with Lisa talking about having been at that baby shower.
Oh, yeah.
And telling somebody, you don't have to do the Ozempic. She made some comment about bone density, too.
Yeah.
Is affected as well.
Because you're becoming malnourished.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to see a big problem with malnourishment issues.
You think?
I know so.
Yeah.
And same thing, if sarcopenia is happening, meaning you're losing muscle wasting, your bones aren't going to be as strong.
That's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna see some issues from how it's being done. There's a doctor, I think it's Tina Moore, is one of the best doctors on the use of things like Ozempic and how to effectively do it.
Right.
She's brilliant on it. She has a whole course on it, everything. And her problem with it is that these doctors are just blasting people with dramatic amounts, causing the appetite to completely suppress and go away. And so you stop eating.
Yeah.
And that is not, yes, you're going to get super skinny super fast.
Right.
But it's this detrimental to long-term health. And so I just don't think that this levels of usage have been around long enough to start. We're going to start to see like fragile bones, like more broken bone issues, malnutrition issues.
I hadn't even thought of that, but it makes so much sense.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming.
I feel like that anytime we find something that people go off the deep end with it, and then what was the thing I'm blanking that was before this, the big thing that ended up having lawsuits if you took it? I don't remember. Oh, come on.
There's been a bunch of them.
It was some sort of thing that's like, oh, if you took blah, 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 you may be entitled to some compensation.
Yeah.
So I just feel like you're right. There's going to be kind of some backlash from this. Yeah. And I don't know. What do you think it's going to be? 5 years, 10 years?
I don't think it's too far off.
Oh, really?
I think in the next couple of years, because people have started to been on it for a year, 2 years. That's and you're supposed to cycle on and off it. People aren't doing that. Yeah. Gino talked about that when we had him on talking about peptides.
Right.
But the dosing is so high. They're not teaching lifestyle around it. It's very easy to get. I jumped online to see if I could buy some, and I was able to buy some without a doctor.
Come on.
Yeah. It's very easy to get. I just wanted to see how easy it was to grasp it.
I feel like, I had a gynecologist I was seeing. I'm not seeing him anymore, but all of a sudden I started getting emails from him about he's peddling it.
Yeah.
And
dermatologist.
Yeah. And the person that does my Botox. And you know what I mean? I'm like, wait a minute. Why is...
It's because it's a peptide, so it's easy to get your hands on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like anything. Like there's a really good way to use it, but again, it takes longer for that extreme effect that people are looking for.
Everybody wants it instantaneously.
Yeah, like with Lisa last week, her before and afters were
I know. I'm
absolutely
so sad we
phenomenal.
didn't share those pictures.
Yeah, I mean, like jaw-dropping,
Right.
awesome.
Right.
It took 18 months,
Right.
not 3.
No.
But with her scenarios, her lifestyle is so set up that she's sustaining that or just consistently getting better.
Right.
Where the people that, unfortunately,
The quick fix.
The quick fix is always has a big rebound. And that's the part people they're not thinking about the future. They're just thinking about in the moment. How do I look right now?
Yes.
And there's a big obsession with that, unfortunately. And
well, part of it, don't you think, is the way we live now, everything's instantaneous.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait for anything.
Yeah.
So why should we wait for that weight loss to happen?
Yeah.
We're going to send an email, it goes immediately. You're going to send a text, it goes immediately. You know what I mean? So I think part of it is how we've been conditioned.
Yeah.
We don't want to wait for anything.
No, we want it right. We want it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I've seen people use the GLP-1 stuff very effectively. They use it at lower dosages.
Right.
They change the lifestyle with it. They start focusing on the protein intake. They start focusing on the weight training. If you do it that way, holy shit, it's unreal. It just takes longer.
Sure.
But the final impact is drastically better than these people that are taking too much for all the weight loss coming from, unfortunately, a lot of loss of muscle mass, malnutrition, things like that. So it's a little scary, but again, like how this all started is if you just eat enough protein first and then have whatever else you want, it's going to control all the problems. So at that point, there is no need to like count calories and, like have to have willpower against the sweet treats and the things that we're craving because we're a little malnourished or because we don't have enough of the good nutrients we're looking for. Yeah. So you do so well with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it shows. I mean, with how you look, how you perform, you're strong as hell.
Man.
Yeah.
It's so funny how you say all that. And I'm like, I am? I do? I don't know. I'm my own worst critic, as most of us are.
Yeah. 100%. We never see.
And and I think I'm used to, I still remember when you just think about losing some weight and you could lose it, or, I just won't eat this for a few days and then you're boom, and things are definitely different as you get older. I think that's why I get so, and I'm going to use the word activated because I hate the word triggered, by people close to my age. They don't even have to be my age, but closer to my age than not, that are doing things all the wrong way. Yeah. And I'm just like, I just want to grab you by the hand and say, no, no, no. And if they're not ready to hear the message, it falls upon deaf ears, right? Yeah. And it's just, I've seen it. I know what's going to, and I've been there. I know about over-exercising and under-eating. I know about all that. I've done it. And it doesn't work. Yeah. Or it might for a moment,
Anything that uses the scale to base success is an in-the-moment thing. Yeah. Because the scale is, it's the easiest thing to manipulate.
You've said that.
Yeah. And a lot of these programs are based on selling you on a result on the scale. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's very easy to manipulate. The majority of the strategies that do it are very damaging. Yeah. But people don't care about that part.
No. Yeah. They're willing to or I crack up about some of the people that I see at the gym that are vaping in between sets. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. That's fascinating to me, really. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a hater. I know we're all coping. We're all just trying to survive here. But to me, that's so counterintuitive. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are counterintuitive.
You think?
Yeah. All the young kids now using steroids and stuff.
Oh, man. Well, that's not new, though. Is it?
It seems to...
More? You feel like it's more prevalent?
Yeah. When I was younger, I didn't really see it as much as I see it now. And I just ask them, like, what are you going to do when you're my age? Like, that's going to be a rough way to live. They don't care. Like, that's so far away. I'm like, no, it's not. It gets here like that.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. I feel that way about women that dabble with that stuff. I think that's... Yeah. I mean, to me, there's one thing if a guy's doing it, not that it's best case scenario, but I kind of understand that. But then a female screwing with that stuff, I don't know. But
it's pretty devastating in the long run, from my experience. Yeah. Working with people that have done it when they were younger. Right. And then stop, and then the devastation comes. Yeah. There's nowhere to go after that.
Yeah. That's kind of scary.
Super scary.
And then you're trying to undo the damage done, right?
Yeah, and you'll never be able to look how you looked when you're on that stuff.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's a mental mind
Yeah.
screw.
Yeah.
It's physically screwing with you. But nobody's thinking about like I have shifted my thinking to not to now, but I want to live another 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what do I got to do to make that happen? And high quality years versus abusing myself now to look a certain way, to present to the world a certain way, and then pay a horrible price and be miserable later in life.
Yeah.
It's shifted my mind thought. Like, for example, I recently, I dropped 15 pounds.
Yeah.
And
because that BMI index told you to.
yeah. No. I was fascinated with like a certain size, a certain look. And I liked it, but I started really realizing like, God, I don't feel great at this weight. And I was lean, but as soon as I dropped the weight, like, oh my gosh, to walk up a flight of stairs is easier. To like do cardio is easier. Football practice with my son and it's like run around, it's easier.
Yeah.
I slept better. Like, so even though it was muscle mass, it was still hard on my body.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm like, oh, I'm actually okay like this. Where I used to feel like, oh, I'm super skinny now. I don't like this.
Right.
And now I'm like,
No, it's good.
no,
I'm good.
this is good. And you watch like for men, you look at the men that tend to be older in their 80s and 90s, they're not 6'4", 250 jacked.
No.
They're all, the smaller statue
Yeah.
people. And there's even studies to support that. Like too much weight, like fat weight or muscle weight is hard on the system. And I could feel that. My HRV's better. Like everything's better after losing the weight. So my goal now is like, okay, I'm going to stay at this weight.
Yeah.
And just focus on getting super fit and healthy and energetic at this weight and stop obsessing on, oh my God, I'm skinny again. I got to be 190, not 175. And
it's refreshing to hear a man say that because we women have so much mental gymnastics about how we look and what the number is and the size is and all the things. So it's very refreshing to hear a man say that.
Yeah. And what's funny is I'm sitting back, I've brought it up to a few people. They're like, oh, well, you look great right now.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even notice. I'm like, what do you mean you didn't notice? I'm like, I'm super skinny. I'm like, I can't even tell. I'm like.
They're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so we think that the world sees us differently.
You're right. You're right.
They just don't.
No. You're absolutely right.
The reality is everyone's so focused on themselves.
Yeah.
No one is paying attention to anyone else.
No, now if you had swung the scale 30 pounds, they would have noticed.
Oh, yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But not what you're talking about.
No, but in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm scrawny. Like everyone notices this. Like but like no one gives a rat's ass.
Yeah.
That I'm 175, not 190.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I am like a walking. If you noticed, I was wearing sweatshirts a lot more over the last month.
Yeah.
Like kind of hiding it all because I'm like, God damn, I feel like I look horrible.
What was that ad? Charles Atlas. Remember that?
Yeah.
So you're the skinny kid that got sand kicked on his face.
I actually have that.
Do you?
Found that
my gosh.
that box that you could buy with the whole program.
I love it.
Yeah. I don't know where it is now, but I have it somewhere.
That's probably worth something.
Yeah. I used to have it in my office.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah. Do you believe that there's a set point for most of us?
Yeah. There totally is. And you can adjust the set point over time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they're definitely, like my set point used to be like 160.
Okay.
And then I pushed so hard and I got so big back when I was bobsledding back in the day that now my set point is about 175.
Okay.
So I think that's why I feel so much better at 175 versus 190. 190 is just, I was having a...
That's a lot. How tall are you?
5'10".
Yeah, 190 seems a lot for that stature. I mean...
Yeah, it was definitely...
You never look bad. I've never seen you, in the 3 years that I've known you, I've never seen you look bad. Where I thought, ooh.
Yeah, you just let yourself go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when you were going through some shit and you lost a lot of weight, I remember you saying, I've lost this much weight. I'm thinking, you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I guess people don't really...
They don't give a shit. Yeah. They just don't care. Like no one's looking at you.
Until it's so extreme that they're like, what did you do? I need to know how to do it.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Like when I went through that high stress period of my life and I lost the 30 pounds, it was over like a year.
Yeah.
So it was very gradual. If I showed you like the start of the year and the 30 pounds, you'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But it was so gradual that people didn't notice it.
Right.
Because I was still like trying to do everything I could to stay healthy. I just wasn't sleeping. I was, it was just stress.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's move on to how you sleep. 'Cause that's another critical thing that people need to work on.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I live and die by my Aura ring. And I love the metrics it gives me. And I love seeing what my readiness score is, my sleep score. And I'm proud to say that 9 out of 10 days, it's great and really good on both accounts. My sweet spot for sleeping is about 8.5 to 9.5 hours. And some people are like, how the hell do you do that? Well, I go to bed at 9:30.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. And a lot of people were complaining about, us moving back to standard time. Everyone says, oh, I hate daylight savings. I said, no, you don't hate daylight savings. That's what we just got off of. This is standard time. Daylight savings is in the spring. People don't understand that. I think what people hate is it's dark.
Yeah.
And that they fuck with the hour. There's that. I personally wish we would just pick a lane and stay there.
Yeah,
But we don't. And so this time was super intentional about how I went into it. Because it's true. You get tired and you're like, wait, it's only this time. I leaned into that and I went to bed earlier and now I'm waking up earlier.
Yeah.
Easily. I've been waking up without my alarm most days now. And that's about 7:00, which to me seems early.
Yeah.
Most people are like, I've been up since 4. But, I prioritize sleep above probably just about anything.
Yeah.
And, if you ask me to do something that is after 8 p.m., it's going to be a no, most likely. And it just, I don't know. I'm so happy with getting done for the day. I have sort of a ritual that I do. I have my saffron latte and just kind of wind down. And, I use little wax earplugs. I use a face mask to close the light out. I have a cooling mattress. I have a fan on. I have a weighted blanket. I mean, there's a lot that goes into my sleep. And I'm high maintenance that way. I really am.
But I think it's the best investment you can make.
Yeah.
People think it's, I got to exercise more. It's like, no, you got to sleep better.
Yeah.
Because it's really, research is really clear. Sleep is the critical aspect to all of this.
Yeah.
To your health, your longevity, your energy, how your body looks, how your brain works, how resilient you are to disease. Yeah. Like if there's anything I try to push people to invest heavily in is a really good sleep environment and sleep strategy.
Yeah. And my kid, even at college, has been super focused on that.
Yeah.
So she's got the ear wax things or the wax things. She's got a fan. She's got a portable air conditioner in her dorm room. All the things. And I think she messaged me the other day and said, I slept 11 hours. I mean, good for you. As an athlete, you need that.
Yeah. It's super clear that athletes need more sleep. The more active you are, here's the other scary thing. The more active you are, the more sleep you need to recover from that. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of stuff out on athletes and how much they sleep. Yeah. And it's like anywhere from 10 to 14 hours for the high level athletes. Yeah. But the more physically active you are. So think about this, the people that are doing those 2 workouts a day, 3 workouts a day. Yeah. Those people better be sleeping 12 plus hours a day or that's damaging them. They're not, and they're not.
Well, I used to have a saying that was, you can rest when you're dead.
Me too.
And I don't agree with that anymore.
No, it's the worst advice ever. Mm-hmm. So there used to be a lot of talk around if you needed to sleep, you were weak.
Yeah, for sure.
That if you wanted to be successful, you had to cheat your sleep.
Yeah.
And there was even one study I read. It was a survey. 94 or 96% of the people in the survey truly believed you could not sleep enough and be successful at the same time.
I was just going to say, when you used to travel across the country and speak to all of these high-powered people, wasn't that one thing they would say? Oh, no, I don't need that much sleep. I'm getting 5 hours. I'm fine. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's Dr. Walker is his name. He talked about this in his book. He wrote a great book on sleep. There is a genetic profile of people that can function well on 7 hours or less of sleep a night.
Yeah.
Every CEO I've worked with, every time I go and speak to groups of CEOs, like, oh I only need 6 hours of sleep a night. Yeah. But the reality is you're more likely to be struck by lightning than to have that genetic makeup. Like I've never seen it. The guy who wrote the book, he said he's never seen it. He's been looking for it for a long time. Right. People have come in and say, I have that, test out. They don't have it. So if someone tells me they don't need more than 7 hours of sleep a night, you're lying to yourself. You just don't remember how good it feels to get enough sleep. Yeah. Yeah. Because other people say, well, if I sleep like that, I feel horrible the next day. I'm like, that's your body telling you need more sleep. Yeah. Like it's trying to get more. Right. I remember I worked with one lady, she sold her business and I said, okay, the first thing I want you to do is do nothing but just rest and sleep. Like set no alarm. Just go to bed when you're tired, set no alarm. The first 2 weeks she called me, she's like, this is effing horrible. Like, all I want to do is sleep. I'm like, good, keep doing it. She said, but I'm sleeping like 12 hours a night. I'm taking naps during the day. I'm like, keep going.
Yeah.
She had so much accumulated sleep debt that it took 2 weeks of her sleeping like that to get back to normal.
Body's like, thank God.
And then all of a sudden one day it was like, boom, 7.5 hours.
Oh.
She felt great.
Okay.
Didn't need an alarm, went to bed. Like, it was beautiful.
Isn't that funny?
It's just people are so used to running on the adrenaline of not enough sleep.
Yeah.
And then if they sleep too much, they feel horrible. That's a sign like you need more of that.
Right. You know, I've noticed since I've been really hyper-focused on my sleep, I nap less. I used to nap like a champ. I would go down for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm doing very little of that now.
Yeah.
And if I do, it might be 20 minutes.
Yeah. It was funny. Did I ever tell you the story at NASA?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I
yes.
got to go out to NASA to work on a couple astronauts. And NASA was the first to do all the research on napping.
Right.
And so when I got there, the first thing I asked them was like, I want to know all your napping strategies. And the astronauts looked at me like,
what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? We don't nap. I'm like, no.
You do.
I pulled out the New York Times article that was all on it. They're like, we don't know. So they went to ask someone, and it came back as, that's old news. The whole Challenger explosion happened because of sleep fatigue.
Right.
Poor decisions being made. So the first strategy was applying naps. And then they come to realize if people just sleep enough, they don't need naps.
Yeah. That makes
so
sense.
they cycle their teams to sleep enough. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the truth. If you're getting enough sleep, you don't need the nap.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So awesome. Can we talk a little bit about your training?
Sure.
Because I think this is fascinating. Because you, when we first started a couple years ago, 3 years ago, wow.
I know. December is our anniversary.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, we're coming up. Yeah. Wow. I'm a typical guy. I don't remember any of this.
My feelings are hurt. No flowers.
You share the story a lot of like originally you just wanted to work with me for a couple of weeks as you're healing from a surgery you had, and then you're gonna get back to all your high intensity stuff. And so we battled a lot in the beginning of like,
you say battle, but I don't really think so.
Oh, I know so.
I don't remember that. I remember just kind of going, okay, he's right. You think I
No,
battled?
in the beginning it was
Really?
a constant battle of
I might have
doing
said, "Can I
less.
do a spin class?" And you might be right. I might have said, tried to fudge it a bit.
Yeah, you're fudging a lot.
Yeah, maybe so.
It was really, this is typical with females. It's really hard to get you to buy into less is more.
Right.
Because everyone, especially in America, everyone wants to believe that more is better. And so what I was so happy is you did buy in over time. So you lift weights
2 to 3.
2 to 3 times a
Yeah.
week. And it's based off of how much stress you're under, how many classes you're teaching in the week. So if you're teaching more classes, you're under more stress, we back off to twice a week. If you're teaching less classes or your stress is down, we push to 3 classes.
Right. Like today, I was supposed to see you again.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, ooh.
And this is one of the things I love about you is that you will say like, I don't know, I'm not feeling 100%, I'm a little tired.
Yeah. Not afraid to say that.
And no one should be.
Yeah.
Like that is the time that you should say, you know what? That's not the time to go stress my body out more.
Right.
It's tired. It's something's going on.
Something's off.
And so what we do is 2 or 3 times a week, we lift for 45 minutes. And every 3 weeks the workout changes.
Yep.
And we're cycling through, like we'll typically go through a couple muscle building phases, some strength phases, and then a couple body composition phases. And that's kind of the ratios of how we do things.
You should explain what that means.
Yeah, so they're called hypertrophy phases, meaning the focus on these phases. Here's the other thing. You have to pick and choose what the focus of the workout is.
Yeah.
You can't become...
You just can't go in and do butt blaster and hip thrusts all the time?
I mean, your body's going to adapt to it. It's not going to do anything for a while, but...
Girls love that.
You can't go in and focus on getting stronger, putting more muscle mass on, and dropping body fat at the same time.
Here's probably a stupid question. Isn't getting stronger and having more muscle mass the same thing?
Well, but you to put more muscle mass on requires too much volume to enhance strength.
Oh.
To use the intensities that are needed, like weight loads that are needed to increase strength, isn't enough time under tension to create more muscle.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
When you're in body comp phases, the rest periods are too short to allow for proper full recovery to be able to use as heavy load as is needed to create hypertrophy or strength response.
Okay.
So you got to pick one.
Okay.
So typically what we'll do is we'll go 2 phases of hypertrophy. So we'll go one like higher rep phase where time and attention, basically rep range is going to be anywhere from like 8 to 15 reps. So we'll do either like 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 15 if you notice that.
Yep.
We'll do that for 3 weeks, and then we'll go to a lower realm. So
heavier weight though.
Yeah. So for example, phase accumulation would be, the phase one would be like 10 to 12 reps.
Mm-hmm.
We do that for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to like 6 to 8 reps for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of how we cycle. So we say anywhere between 6 to 15, typically between 8 and 12, majority of the time in hypertrophy phases. When we're focused more on strength, we're going to be more in the 4 to 8 rep range. So you'll notice when we get into more of the strength phases, we're using heavier loads, dropping our rep ranges.
Right.
And we're doing more sets of less exercises, if you notice.
Yep.
Because when you're trying to build strength, strength is really important. If you're building strength, you have to expose the movement to more opportunity at the higher loads.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if we're going to 10 to 12 rep phase, it's 3 or 4 sets of 10 to 12. If we're in a 4 to 6 rep phase, it's 5 to 6 sets.
I don't think you've ever made me do 6, have you?
Huh?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You snuck that in.
Those are some of the ones you hate.
Probably.
Yeah. Like 6 sets of 4 reps on back squats with challenging loads.
You're right.
Those have never been your favorite.
See, I am glad that you do all the heavy lifting, so to speak, with the programming, because people have said to me so many times, you are a trainer, you teach classes, you build all why on earth would you need to go to a trainer?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to freaking think. That's why.
Well, and to be super honest, and I mean not to the hardest thing in the world is to write a good program.
Yeah.
I've been studying this. I started as a trainer in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been studying how to design programs ever since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at a point now where I feel like, oh my God, I have so much more to learn.
That's always how anything is, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so much of my focus and emphasis has been on how do you write programs to create a guaranteed response. Yeah. It is flipping hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I see people that think, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm like, holy shit, you scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing.
Well, I'm going to do back and buys and chest and tries.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not a car mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it'd be like me saying like, my dad taught me how to change the oil in a car.
Yeah,
I can go fix my car. That's super easy.
Yeah.
We know everything about that car. There's a whole owner's manual on that car.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually super simplistic compared to the human body.
Right.
But most people are like, oh shit, my car, I got to go. I have no idea.
Yeah, very good point.
But my body, that's super easy. Like, oh my Lord.
Well, all you have to do is get on Instagram and follow one of the influencers. They'll show you how to do it.
Right. Yeah, 100%. If I'm being super honest with the whole world of fitness, and this is the thing I struggle with most with trainers, is that most of them have no clue how to design programs long term.
Right.
So like we've been training for 3 years now, and there's been a 3-year progression built in.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are much stronger now in every single lift we do than you were 3.
For sure.
Maybe not hamstring curls, but no, those are getting better.
They are getting better. You know what though? I went into the big gym today and did them instead of the little weight room, and I think I like that machine better.
Oh, really? That one's usually heavier and harder.
I thought it was, I don't know, it's smoother to me. That I think was what it is.
Well, the one in the weight room, in our weight room, matches the strength curve better, so it's actually more challenging.
That's why I like it, because the other one was helping me maybe. Yeah.
But so, I mean, the strategy matters so much when it comes to exercise programming. And like the programs that say, we do something different every workout, holy shit, the body can never adapt to that. Sure. That's super stressful.
But see, we've been told that that's good.
I know we have.
Mm-hmm. We don't want to adapt.
Yeah.
We want to keep it guessing.
Yeah. There 7% of Olympic level athletes respond well to that.
Oh, really?
That's it.
Huh.
7% of the most gifted human beings in the world have a specialized system that needs that type of adaptation. That's it.
Wow.
For everyone else, it fries them.
Yeah. Right.
Fries them.
Right.
And the ones that I've seen a couple of them now. The ones that respond well to that are freaky athletic. Like can run like you've never seen, can jump like you've never seen. Their nervous systems are so heightened, it's insane.
Wow.
I've seen 2 of them my whole career. Okay. And the other thing is if they do repeated workouts in a row, like if they were to do the same workout 3 weeks in a row, by week 3 they're so emotional. They're horrible to deal with.
Well, I'm already very emotional, so we don't need that. You know this.
Yeah. So it's like all these ideas that are out there are devastating. Right. Most people not helping them.
Yeah. Well, to that point also, I think what you're doing when you're not doing those things is also crucial.
Right.
And, I teach a lot of classes, but I'm really happy to report that my schedule has kind of scaled back a bit. So now I'm only doing 3 strength classes, which is kind of like a HIIT class, quite honestly. And 2, am I right about that? No, 3 3 yoga Lattes, and I've got a vinyasa class. So I'm actually, and last week I taught 3 actual just yoga classes, and it felt so good.
That's awesome.
And I think that's something that people need to realize is the other stuff that you plug in does not need to be crazy stuff.
No.
Do a regular yoga class. It's
Yeah.
good for you.
I was just having this conversation with one of my younger guys today. He's like, I want to add some other stuff in. I'm like,
Cool.
And his girlfriend works out. I'm like, great. What does she like to do? Oh, she likes like Pilates,
Yeah.
yoga. Go do that.
Yeah.
He's like, what? I'm like, go do that. Go do a yoga class with
Yeah.
her. Go do a
Yeah.
Pilates class with her. It's much less stressful on your body.
Right,
It
right.
opens you up, calms you down. It's phenomenal. I said, if you want to do 1 HIIT class a week, I'm all for that. Like
Yeah.
1 high intensity cardio
Yeah.
session, I'm all for that. But so lift your weights 2 or 3 times a week, do 1 HIIT class, and then
Yeah.
everything else should be long, slow cardio, yoga,
Yeah.
Pilates, like the calming,
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels good.
You really, if you're the type of person like, oh, doing yoga drives me crazy,
Then you need it.
need it more than anyone. It means your system is so wound up
Right.
and in such a state of fight or flight.
Yeah.
You're just used to that.
Yeah.
To a calming environment,
Yeah.
freaks you out. Force yourself to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild to see how many people, when we get down to that part of class where it's the chilling out, the more they're rolling up their mat and they're out.
Yeah, they're out because
They
people have
peace
a
out.
hard time
It's hard,
getting into
and
a
I get
calm
that.
state.
And it always makes me so happy when someone gets kind of past that hurdle and they realize, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
I can just, because I always say this might be the only 3 to 5 minutes that you're quiet and still the whole freaking day.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly moving and doing.
And I came across another really cool study on stress. There's 2 ways you can drastically reduce the stress you experience.
Yeah.
You can dramatically change your lifestyle,
Okay.
which is really hard to do.
Yep.
Or you can do a short period of relaxation, like meditation, deep breathing,
Yeah.
calming activities for 5 or 10 minutes a day. And that actually has a massive positive impact on overall stress loads.
Makes sense.
So like to me, that part of yoga, the last couple minutes of that, what do you guys
Yeah.
call it?
The Shavasana.
Shavasana is probably the most important aspect.
That is.
If you're focused on bringing your stress levels down, which everyone should be focused on.
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it from time to time. Oh my gosh, I got to go pick up the kids. I'm going to have to bust out early. I get that. I get
Yeah.
that. But if you're the habitual offender of that, maybe you need to look at that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to do.
So like, I'm a believer in moving every day. I'm just a believer in really controlling the exposure of high intensity activity. Lifting weights is high intensity.
yeah. And so is spin class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that lifting weights doesn't elevate heart rate like the spin classes, the
No.
HIIT classes.
No.
It's not focused on keeping your heart rate super high for a long period of time. It's focused on challenging the muscle tissue
Right.
and creating a positive response in muscle tissue, which is the most important tissue we have.
Yeah.
And so if you're not following a focused program that's really dedicated towards building that, enhancing that, and
Right.
keeping that, you're not really getting much out of your exercise.
Well, you know what? One thing that I think made me really, really want to listen to you is, I cannot stand that, and it's not middle-aged, I guess it's older lady. Now, when you start to lose your butt and you get 2 skinny little legs and then you're like thick through the middle.
Yeah.
I thought, I do not want that. I
Yeah.
do not want that. And it's easy to lose your butt. It really is.
Yeah.
And easy to get the skin. And some women are funny and they're like, oh, but I like having my legs so skinny. Okay, well, all right.
Yeah.
It is hard to put on muscle. It is
Yes.
hard to stay strong. I get frustrated with myself because I think, gosh, I used to be able to lift more than that. And it's, now the joints are maybe not as cooperative as they once were.
Yeah. Well, and over time with age, things do happen.
Yeah.
The first thing that goes away is our speed and power. So we can't run as fast. We can't
No.
jump as high.
Yeah.
That's the
Right.
first thing to go.
Okay.
Strength and muscle mass, you can actually, if you challenge it appropriately and train appropriately over time, you can actually maintain that pretty well.
Okay, good to know.
The speed power stuff is really, it's pretty
Yeah.
almost impossible to maintain.
Yeah.
But the strength and the muscle mass, if you challenge it appropriately and you don't overdo it,
Yeah.
you can really maintain that and at times even enhance that as we get older.
Good.
So the way you're training now, I think you would be pretty surprised. You're probably as strong as you were in your 20s.
I definitely wasn't as focused on weight training in this fashion. That's for sure.
I didn't know you back then, but I would venture to say you are probably as strong or stronger than you were.
You're probably right, actually, now that I think about it.
For most of my lifts, I'm 50 now. I am as strong
You're
or
not
stronger.
50 yet.
Sorry, I'm almost 50. I'm a year off. I don't know why I said that. I'm not in a rush to get there. But like, I'm as strong or stronger than I was when I was 25.
That's impressive.
I don't do power cleans anymore. I don't in the Olympics. I don't do any of the speed stuff. I don't do a lot of like plyometric training or jump training. I think that stuff is super dangerous as we get older. But like all the typical strength stuff, I'm pretty close.
Yeah, that's great.
That's great. But I used to train like 8 to 12 times a week back then. Now I train 2 or 3 times a week with weights. I think that's another reason why, because I'm recovering better than I used to. I want to leave this one last piece of advice.
Before you go on to that last piece, I think if people are curious about our style of training, they should look up the weight room.
Oh, yeah. Check out the weight room. Our website is theweightroom.us.
.us? Did not know that.
Yeah. It's theweightroom.us. If you're interested in it and you listen to this podcast, jump on there. There is a 7-day trial where you can come in, get evaluated, because we want to make sure that everything you're doing is safe. So you go through an evaluation so we can customize the group workouts to you. You'll get some nutrition coaching in regards to a metabolic assessment that you do, what the best supplements would be for you to be taking, and you get 3 classes with us.
That's huge.
Yeah, so you can experience what I'm talking about, like what the good programming looks like. It's the 7-day trial. Use the code WRVIP, and you'll get it complimentary.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you can come and just try it for a week so you can see kind of an idea of what this actually looks like. And that programming is more based around the fat loss training that we do with some strategies built in to enhance muscle mass and strength. So there's always a primary movement where we cycle through the muscle mass and the strength cycles. And then we have remedial movements. So 3 other blocks of movements that are more focused on the fat loss side of things. Because most women coming in, they want to maintain their muscle, they want to get a little stronger, but they really want to focus on getting lean. And so that's the strategies in there.
Perfect.
So the A grouping everyone does is the muscle mass and the strength focus. B, C, and D groupings are more the fat loss strategies that we use.
Nice.
So when you come in, you'll see what we're talking about in that realm. But the last piece of advice I want to learn, it was the greatest thing I've learned over the last 10 years. And this was the game changer for myself and everyone I train, is that your training is only as good as your ability to recover from it. I learned it from one of my greatest mentors, Stefan Cazult. I think I said his last name right. Out of Kilo Strength. They're out of Miami. This guy is, the crew there is just absolute geniuses. If you're a trainer, you need to look into them and go take all their courses on program design, because it is mind-blowing how good it is. But him teaching me that, and he taught me that with professional athletes. He's like, if you're training these pro athletes, their training is only as good as their ability to recover from it. If the volume is too much and they can't recover, you're damaging them, not helping them. If the challenge is not enough, it's not forcing adaptation, you're doing the wrong thing. So, but most of us can't handle what we think we can handle. It's a lot less than what we think we can handle because our lives are so stressful. It's harder to recover from the workouts. So less workouts, 2 or 3 times a week of challenging weightlifting workouts is all we really need to really be able to adapt long term and to continually get better week after week.
That was the biggest lesson that you taught me, was that stress is stress is stress is stress.
Yes. And you can't beat stress by applying more stress. You can only beat stress by recovering from it and becoming resilient to it. And so controlled weightlifting sessions actually makes you more resilient to stress over time, strengthens your immune system, all that stuff. So you should be using fitness to enhance your life. You should not be using fitness to destroy yourself. I see a lot of people, unfortunately, use fitness because they hate how they look. So they punish themselves with fitness. You should love fitness. It is the greatest gift you can give yourself. If you don't love it, you're trying the wrong strategies. It should be one of the most rewarding things that we do, in my opinion, especially as we age. It's the thing that allows us to live a great life as long as we want. Our whole tagline, live better longer. Weightlifting has to be the core of that.
You're right.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. Good one.
Thanks for sharing everything you do and the depths that you go.
Of course.
Because you can just see it all over you.
Thank you.
Yeah, with how you look, how you perform, how well your energy is. Like, it's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.